Welcome to Sew Very Easy. My name is Laura, and today I'd like to share with you a cute little craft project. Now this project you can make small or large. You can embellish it or not. You can machine stitch on it or not. And it is a fun, quick thing to do. And it also gets to use up scrap fabric. It's not only good for adults, but it is a great project for children. And they're non-sew bookmarkers. Now, of course, you can sew them if you'd like, but I choose not to. We're going to need fabric, little notions, glue so we don't have to do any machine stitching, and a fusible web. And I'm going to be using the Heat & Bond Ultra Hold, which means there's no sewing involved. If you do want to sew these projects, you will have to use a lighter fusible web. But this sticks and is nice and firm, and I like the weight of it. So let's get our fabric ready. We can use any fabric. As a matter of fact, it's fun to use two different fabrics to make them reversible. So let's start with the very basics. I'm going to start with two fabrics, and I want to fuse those fabrics together. I'm going to fuse larger and then trim down. And to glue them together, I'm going to use this fusible web. I need to fuse the glue side onto the wrong side of the fabric. And the glue side is this shiny side. The paper is just holding the glue into place. I am using a surface that if I get any glue on it, it just comes off. But you can always use a parchment paper underneath. All of the fusible webs take a different heat temperature for your iron. So be sure to follow the proper heating for your fusible. So I have the glue side on the wrong side of the fabric, and I'm just going to place that iron over top and let that stick. Once this has been adhered on, give this a chance to cool down. It'll be easier to take the paper off and it will stick better. Once it's cooled down, I'm going to just take that corner of the paper and peel it off. You're going to see a shiny side on your fabric because the glue has come off the paper. I'm going to glue two fabrics together, and I'm going to use that same piece of fusible. So I'll have to have my fabrics wrong side touching. Some of the glue might be a little bit bigger than the fabric underneath, so I'm going to put that original piece of paper back on top. Place it over top, and now I can iron. And I'm going to be able to just move the iron and follow those directions and stick everything together. Let that cool down and take off the paper. Now I have both of those pieces stuck really well together. The Ultra means we do not have to do any sewing. Matter of fact, it would be hard to sew through this because the glue was very thick. Once my two pieces are together, I'm going to trim it down to a size that I want, and it won't matter what size you use. You can use a rotary cutter, straight scissors, or even pinking shears. The fabric will not fray, so it won't matter what scissors you use. I like the pinking shears because it just gives a decorative finish, but the glue will prevent it from fraying. The bookmark is basically done, but from here we can embellish it and have some fun with it. We can make them as big as we want and as small as we want. We can also shape the ends. Here's one made with Christmas fabric where I've pointed one end and have made it reversible. On the end, I'm going to glue a little bell. Now you could sew it on, but I'm going to glue it because it'll be just as easy. You can also use little pom-poms. You can usually buy a bag of these at the dollar store, and they're a lot of fun for kids to use. They could just go through the scrap bin and make a pile of different bookmarkers with some little pom-poms on the end. You can also get a little creative and have some fun. I started by fusing two white pieces of fabric together. Then I cut out this snowman shape and just started adding embellishments. So I've taken this Heat & Bond and just glued it onto scraps of fabric and then cut out the shape I want and then just glued those shapes right on top of my snowman. You can continue using your scrap fabric and fuse on the different shapes to finish the snowman, or whatever shape you have chosen. Or we can finish it off with magic marker. This shape could be made in advance, and then the kids could decorate it with markers. I would recommend to keep these as flat as we can, except for one little point on either end. And that little point is the point that's going to stick out of the book. So it can stick out at the top of the book or at the bottom of the book. And this is thin enough, it's not going to hurt the pages on the book. If these are something that you're going to make and sell at a craft show, you can fuse two very large pieces of fabric together and then cut the sizes that you want. You can always choose one side of the fabric to be a beautiful print, and the other side could be a plain striped fabric. And because that's nice and stiff, you're going to be able to write on the back fabric. So if you have a book that you like to take notes on, you could always use this on the back side. Make your notes and keep that bookmarker with that book. And being able to write on that fabric really does make them personal. If you're using a lighter weight fusible web, you could do some decorative stitches on your machine, do some embroidery first, and then fuse those layers together. You can use a glue and just glue shapes on top of these. The whole idea is to keep them nice and flat so they fit inside the books. So the little bookmarks can be made in any shape, any size, embellished with pom-poms or all sorts of things. No embellishments at all. You can also have them with a plain fabric on the back so you can write on them. This is a great way to use up some scrap fabric and have fun at the same time. What a fun project to do, regardless if you do them by yourself, with a group of people where you can exchange some scrap fabrics, or have some kids get involved. Thank you for joining me today on Sew Very Easy. Feel free to subscribe, and as always, come on back. Let's see what we're sewing next time in the sewing room. Bye for now.